Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Friday, December 9th, 2022. I am Timothy Jaikran. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. 14 oil blocks go on auction, contracts to be awarded in May 2023, says President Ali. JAGDEO challenges APNU AFC opposition to participate in election COI. Government offers free transport service to stranded travelers amid speedboat operators strike. Carol Joseph being investigated by SOCU over $6 million fraud at MARDS, and teacher gets $100,000 bail for allegedly raping female student. Now for the news in detail. The much-anticipated auction of Guyana's remaining oil blocks offshore has officially begun. President Dr. Irfaan Ali announced today bidders would have until mid-April 2023 to submit their bids, and government is looking to have potential contracts signed by the end of May next year. Here is Vanu Manakchan with our lead story tonight.
I'm pleased today that we are able to, in this very public manner, launch our bidding round for the 14 new blocks in shallow and deep water. We are hoping that the course of the submission of the bids will be on the 14th of April 2023, and our timeline is to have contracts awarded by the end of May 2023. This, of course, would follow negotiations and evaluation of the bids that we receive during this bidding round.
That was President Dr. Irfaan Ali officially launching the auction of Guyana's oil blocks offshore during a live broadcast Friday morning. These 14 blocks up for tender include those in both deep water and shallow water. According to the head of state, government is committed to ensuring that Guyana gets the most value from these potential oil deals, hence the implementation of new terms and conditions for new oil contracts, including more stringent relinquishment terms to allow for expeditious development of Guyana's petroleum resources.
We have a situation where there is a time frame on oil and gas development. We understand the direction in which the world is going, so it's very important for us to have developers who are serious, who will in an expeditious way move towards the development of the oil and gas resources. So strong contractual commitments are in place in this bidding round, with strong relinquishment obligations.
Another major feature of this auction is improving the fiscal terms to provide a greater balance of the shared revenue between the government and the contractor. Under the new conditions, Guyana stands to benefit as high as US $20 million signature bonus and the doubling of royalties and corporation taxes. There are also minimum qualification criteria consistent with international best practices, including expertise and capital requirements for both shallow and the deep water operations.
There's a participation fee of US $20,000 for this bidding. Of course, that fee is set at a rate that does not disallow interest. So the participation fee is of $20,000 US, is payable in respect of a block for tender in order to gain access to the virtual data room and participate in the competitive bidding process. So there is a virtual data room that will be launched simultaneously, and there's a participation fee of $20,000 US that will give you access to that virtual data room and for you to participate in this competitive bidding process. I encourage all those who believe that that they could have attracted and they can attract investors to do so, to participate in this process. We are hoping that there will be maximum participation and that Guyana would be part of a partnership that brings greater benefit and create greater wins for our country and our people.
Guyana is estimated to have potential resources in excess of 25 billion barrels offshore. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchan.
With the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the 2020 general and regional election scheduled to resume public hearings next year, Vice President Dr. JAGDEO has challenged the opposition to participate, particularly to shed more light on their claims of Russian influence at the polls, and more so to present what they claim to be their winning statements of poll. Vanu Manakchan joins us again with the details.
Vice President Dr. JAGDEO made these remarks during a press conference on Friday.
Several revelations that are emerging that point to a pattern with intellectual authors designed to rig the last elections. I have noticed that the opposition has gone quiet on the entire issue. Now, for a group of people who've been very vocal about them winning the elections, that they've won the elections, and they had evidence to that effect, and that who filed a petition in court, I would like to think that they would want to utilize this opportunity to clear their names and to present their case.
Among the claims JAGDEO is challenging the opposition to present their case on in the COI is the alleged involvement of the Russians in the 2020 elections.
Ramjatan, if he had any sense of decency, will now take that evidence, because I'm sure that the commissioners would want to hear about the Russians' involvement in our elections. So he and Cathy Hughes should present themselves before the COI and present and give to the commissioners all this evidence they have about Russians' involvement. Or if they don't do that, they should apologize to this country for the lies that they told to the people of Guyana.
The Vice President also called on the opposition leader Aubrey Norton to present his winning statements of poll to the COI and for the APNU AFC to explain how the signatures of two of their agents ended up on the false declaration made by former embattled returning officer for Region 4, Clermont Mingo.
I hope that the two of them would appear before the COI to explain to the commissioners how their signatures got on the declaration that Mingo made, the two fraudulent declarations that he made, when no other party agent or no other party signed on to these documents or were required to sign onto them. That's one with Walter Lawrence's signature, and the second is with Carol Joseph's signature. So far, it seems that it was a conspiracy just in GCOM, which is proven. But the signature ties the GCOM officials to the political masters and the intellectual authors of this.
According to Vice President JAGDEO, he hopes that these disclosures during the COI will not only serve as a basis to reinforce the criminal charges filed, but also for the Guyana Elections Commission to take administrative actions against its staffers who were deeply involved in the plot to rig the 2020 elections.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandalal is lamenting that the country has to accept that it has a completely useless opposition in the National Assembly. One, he argues, that fails to properly represent the people and fails to contribute meaningfully to national development. Here are the details.
About a month after they had walked out of the National Assembly and refused to participate in the debate of critical bills, such as the Constitutional Reform Bill, the APNU AFC parliamentary opposition is once again being called out for abdicating its responsibilities as elected leaders. Though there was participation from some members of the opposition during the debate on the amendments to the Representation of the People's Act bill earlier this week, a lot of them were absent. Attorney General Anil Nandlal, during his program Issues in the News, surmised that the opposition has proven to be completely useless. According to Nandlal, even those who participated in the debates had nothing meaningful to contribute.
These people do no work. I have never seen a more lazy grouping, a more lackadaisical grouping, a more complacent grouping in the Parliament of Guyana since I have been there more than this bunch. And I have been there now for about 4 parliaments. I have been there now over 16 or more years. We have to accept now, perhaps more than ever, that we have an opposition in the National Assembly who are completely useless. They spend a lot of time on Facebook and on the social media, fulminating and talking a lot of trash. That's all that they can do. Shouting and banging and ringing bell and scandalizing people and insulting people and humiliating people. That's all that they can do all day. Ask them to do something constructive. Ask them to do something that will benefit their supporters. They can't.
Moreover, Nandlal pointed out that these very members are being compensated handsomely.
You have to pull your weight. These people are being paid handsomely by the taxpayers. They enjoy duty-free concessions of an unlimited nature. Some of them enjoy other facilities as well. Oh man, the least that you can do is to come there and do the people's work. Some of them are unemployed. They work nowhere else. Yet they don't get the time or make the time to do the people's work.
Nandlal argued that the opposition only seems bent on seeking to divide the population.
It's a bankrupt set of people in terms of ideas, in terms of track performance, in terms of track record, and in terms of plans going forward. Completely bankrupt. The only thing that keeps them alive, that they are sucking and biting like parasites on this animal called racism.
The government has implemented a number of measures to assist the traveling public after speedboat operators plying to the Vreeden Hoop Georgetown route went on strike following the authorities' refusal to hike the fare from $100 to $120. The Guyana Defense Force has added 6 buses to assist in shuttling passengers across the Demerara River via the Harbor Bridge from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Additionally, 14 boats from the Purika service were added to complement the relief efforts at the Maritime Administration Department, the Guyana Defense Force, Coast Guard, Guyana Police Force, and Sheriff Security. All support service vehicles will operate free of cost for today. These services are offered to commuters in response to strike action taken by water taxi operators as a consequence of MARDS' decision not to increase the fares. Coming up, Education Ministry signs US $2.6 million contract for works at Good Hope Secondary, and Carl Joseph being investigated by SOCU over $6 million fraud at MARDS.
Force, keeping you on a bug-free course. Call us today for a free inspection and quotation. 636-PEST. That's 636-7378 and 612-PEST. 612-73.
Play our virtual Chick Chick game today and get a chance to win big. With over 450 draws, 3 dices, and 52 bet types to choose from. You can also be a winner with SuperBet. Visit www.superbet.gy or any one of our agents closest to you. Play responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 18 years and over.
APNU offers great patient care that is tailored for my entire family.
At APNU, a wide selection of affordable optical frames and optical services are available to fit your budget.
At Optique, my family is provided with comprehensive eye examination and access to the ophthalmology services, all under one roof.
Optique takes pride in delivering exceptional customer service and a unique experience to you, our customers.
Optique Vision Care is a company that is Guyanese born and grown that will help you take care of your precious eyes.
Did you know that the government has funded the 2022 budget through oil revenues? Yes. Money earned from oil production offshore is being used to support projects in Guyana, including social programs like the increase of public assistance and old age pension, as well as cash grants to support the vulnerable members of society.
It's November already and soon it will be Christmas, so we at John Lewis Styles are giving away one Amazon Echo show every week in November and every day in December. Stream music and videos, make video calls and control smart devices, alarms, reminders and lots more. Every $5,000 spent gives you a chance to win when you shop for clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage and accessories. So visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. The Ministry of Education on Friday signed a contract totaling US $2,607,879 for the completion of outstanding works at the Good Hope Secondary School. The contract for this project, which is being funded by the World Bank, was awarded to Dean Plus Partners, which was the supervisory consultant for the project. The school, which is estimated to accommodate a total of 1,000 students, will see works being done in areas such as installation of electrical panels and cables, the installation and connection of plumbing fittings and fixtures, repainting of facility, finishes to windows, doors, roofs, remedial works to the floors, and much more. The works are expected to be completed by June 30th, 2023. The school was designed in 2017 by VICAB Engineering, and works commenced on site in October 2018. A contract totaling US $4,082,506 was awarded to BK International on October 1st, 2018 for the construction of the building, which was expected to be completed by January 14th, 2020. However, the contract was terminated on May 25, 2021 on the grounds of fundamental breaches in the contract, such as not maintaining a security bond and delays. Since the termination of the contract, several options were explored by the ministry to have the school completed in the shortest time possible, including engagements with Arbasu and Sons, repackaging works into smaller lots, and retendering and entering into a management EPC turnkey contract with a suitable consultant. After much consideration, the ministry found it most suitable to enter into a management EPC turnkey contract after being approved on September 19, 2022 by the government of Guyana. The deal was offered as a direct contract to Dean Plus Partners. We now tell you that Public Works Ministry on Friday awarded several contracts to coincide the government's vision of building for the future, in which 13 bridges along the Linden to Lethem route have been included. Rupasina Ryan tells us more.
Under the Linden to Lethem Road project, contracts were signed for the construction of 13 bridges from Mabura Hill to Kurupakari. This year, contracts for 32 bridges were already awarded to the tune of $3.19 billion from Kurupakari to Lethem. Public Works Minister Juan Edghill shared that timber bridges are being replaced with structures that will support a longer lifespan. This is especially for continued accessibility along the Linden-Lethem route, and all remaining bridges will now be covered.
We are advancing, putting in what is called, I would say, resilient infrastructure as it relates to our bridges. We got to take out the timber bridges that we have traditionally used.
Climate resilient.
And we have to be able to put in things that are going to last us 20, 30, 40 years.
In the Maritime Department, work is continuing to encourage safety as well as preparation for the incoming ferry for the Northwest District. In this light, contracts were awarded for beacons to be installed and works at the wharves to accommodate the MV Militia.
The boat should actually start sailing somewhere around the 17th or 18th of December. We have to do some adjustments at the Transport and Harbors Wharf at Kingston. And this will just be the first wharf because we have to get work done at Mabaruma, Port Kaituma, and Morawana to be able to facilitate that.
The minister has warned that when these projects are being carried out, stakeholders should not be affected for a long period of time.
Please don't interrupt people's lives, and we have to keep getting the complaints. It's 6 weeks now since the man dig up the place and then come back yet, you know. They come here and they move all the wood for the bridge, we got nowhere to cross, and then come back since. We can't have these kinds of complaints. If we're going to make interventions, that is something that I've spoken to my own engineers about, but I also have to speak to the contractors about.
During the month of March 2022, a report was made by the Special Organized Crime Unit by the Mahaika Abari Rice Development Scheme Rice Milling Complex Limited, a private company, of fraudulent appropriation of funds of that company by Carol Joseph, who was a director of that company. As a result of that report, SOCU commenced the investigations. During the course of the investigations, it was revealed that Joseph, as a director on the MARDS board without authority, solely approved 14 transactions amounting to $6.1 million without the board's knowledge between June 2016 and August 2016. SOCU said these amounts were used for her personal benefits and for purposes other than those of MARDS business. On completion of the investigations, a file was prepared and sent to the DPP's chambers for legal advice. Based on legal advice from the DPP's chambers, Joseph was invited to SOCU, where 14 allegations of fraudulent appropriation of property of Body Corporate were put to her. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael joins us now to report that a 21-year-old teacher of the J.C. Chan Singh Secondary School in Port Morant, Region 6, East Berbice Quarantine, was today charged with the alleged rape of a student. Here are the details.
21-year-old Kevin Nascimento appeared before Magistrate PTU at the Albion Magistrates Court, where he was charged in relation to an alleged rape of a female student. The victim is under the age of 16 years old. Apart from the victim being below the age of consent, the court heard that the accused is considered someone who the child trusted. According to the police, Nascimento was a frequent visitor to the student's home, as his father, also a teacher, would have taught some of the victim's older siblings. It is alleged that it was during one of those visits in October 2022 the teacher committed the act. Nascimento is being represented by senior counsel, attorney at law Marcelin Bacchus. He was granted $100,000 bail, and the case was adjourned to January 13, when the prosecution is expected to make a disclosure of all the statements it will be using during the trial. Meanwhile, the Evening News understands that the police have presented other evidence to the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, in the form of a video showing the teacher in an alleged compromising position with the schoolgirl's younger brother. After the incident was reported in October, several students attached to J.C. Chandy Singh Secondary School have reportedly made complaints of sexual misconduct by a teacher of that school. The police are currently investigating those reports. In fact, some of them have already gone to the DPP for advice. Andrew Carmichael, The Evening News.
Guyana, which has aspirations of being the breadbasket of the Caribbean and of piloting the reduction of food imports into the region by 75% in the next 3 years, is seeing increasing numbers of people entering the agriculture sector. Here are the details from Gerald Bryan.
Making this report in the National Assembly was Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa when he rose to defend supplemental funds for his ministry. According to the minister, there has been an influx not only in goods being shipped out, but also new persons entering the agriculture sector.
We have seen an influx in the agriculture sector by people who would have called it a day in 2015 and 2020. We are seeing more and more people coming on now. They want to get into agriculture. We are seeing our agriculture sector thriving. As a matter of fact, almost every single month, we are seeing containers of produce going to the Eastern Caribbean.
The funds that Mustafa was seeking approval for in financial paper number 3 were for SOCU and NDIA. According to a breakdown of the sums, $1 billion was requested for SOCU and $2 billion for NDIA. The Agriculture Minister had given some insight into how these monies would have been spent.
If I can explain it, that the operating estate, we are, as I said, we are rehabilitating those equipment, and the shutter estate, we are trying to get those estate back on track. As I said, there are a lot of money being expended at Rosal. We have budgeted for the entire year to date. We have spent $12 billion, but then we have another set of equipment that we have to set up to ensure that we continue with the tillage. And there were a number of equipment, let me be very frank. There are a number of equipment that was set aside and left in the field that we have to rehab. Critical piece of equipment. We have to do a lot of work on the gantry. We have to do a lot of work on the pond dumper. Those are things that are critical for improved production in the sugar industry. And that is what we are doing to ensure that we get these things done.
Meanwhile, the $2 billion for NDIA will be used for a number of things, including $426 million to mechanical works to NDIA equipment and $261 million to cover fuel. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge will be closed on Saturday, December 10th at 4:30 for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Saturday, December 10th at 5:45, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
Chanda Paul naming another 50 against Australia, and GCB announces national under-13 team to play in Goodwill Series. Details of these stories in the Sportscast, sponsored by Macorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Yeah, ready? We are so far. Look along, me tell you, buy one generator. Now the picnic online test and blackout come and cut off everything. Sorry, son. Radhika, Abby go tomorrow. Abby go now.
At Sylvie's, we stock products from more than 22 different sectors in mining, construction, food processing, vulcanizing, home improvements, and more.
Are you getting generator?
So this is a 3000 better side generator. This will work for your lights, your fan, your TV, and your fridge.
Well, Abby can buy one for Abby and yes. Abby can buy one for Mommy too.
Yeah, and Mommy could even key start it, because all you have to do is hook up the battery and
visit us today at 31 High in Hatfield Street, where our friendly and knowledgeable team members are willing to assist you. You can also call us on 227-6243 or WhatsApp us on 623-7755 and shop via our website at www.sylviesonline.com.
I big up your dal puri mill.
One plucking machine, one pressure washing machine, one juice dispenser, one engine, one pepper grinding machine, one water pump, one sugar cane juicer, circle sir. We gotta get alright then that food warmer. We gotta get. What are you looking at?
Ocho. 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 Organic Ocho candy. What's inside counts.
Now you have another reason to shop at Gafours from now till Christmas. Gafours has launched its 7-car promotion with over $30 million in prizes to be won. With any purchase of $5,000 for self-service or $100,000 for wholesale customers, you have a chance to enter any one of our 7 branches. This promotion runs from September 9th to December 29. For more information, visit our Facebook page at Gafours or contact us on 223-9896. Gafours, the name you can trust.
Welcome back to this evening's Sportscast, sponsored by Macorp.